So welcome to Bow 2020, and we're doing a class, Forage for Your Supper, Introduction to Edible Plants. If you are in the wrong place, now is your time to move, or you can just stay here and learn about plants with us. I am in my third year at Bow and my second year as an instructor, and I'm just announcements. So first of all, you should know this class is being recorded. So since we are being recorded, don't make any murder confessions or responsibility. Oops. This is confusing. Okay. Sunflower. Hopefully you guys know that one. Announcements. Here we go. So it's being recorded. Take lots and lots of pictures, whether that's like screenshots on your phone, or you can put them online using the hashtag that everybody that worked so hard to make this event happen would really appreciate. And that is to find the Zoom chat box and write your name box. And just write your name. Awesome, thank you. Their name in this classroom. Bonus points are worth nothing. I live a lot of my life. My computer is giving me a message that I have too many applications open and it could affect audio, and see if that works. But just make sure that we all are on mute if we're not talking, and let me know if you have any problems with audio. Okay, we're gonna do a little exercise to learn how to use the raising hand tool in Zoom. So to clap or to raise your hand. So if you guys could show me your clapping hands or your thumbs up or just some kind of edit. Very cool. Me too. I've been working from home for 6 months and we're all there with you. And then finally, I did not put this in the email, and that's my apologies, but you probably want to take time to grab a pencil and paper. Now you can. I'm going to ask you to try and identify some plants, and so it's a little easier for you to write it down to turn your camera on. All right. Love seeing those books. Love it. Anything new? I brought mine too. This is one I've had for a couple years. I brought it just that I look for a lot or want to refer to, or I love the recipes. So if you want to get any of these little tabs, it's pretty useful. Let's get started. Somebody ask a question? All right, so foraging. So I am by no means I know, I can't believe they asked me to do this 2 or 3 years, and I learn something new every time I go out. But I do know, first thing that you need to know about foraging is to collect at least 100 yards away from them. So you don't want to be eating little berries if they have trucks spew out. Anyway, it's gross. So collect at least 100 yards away from the road, you see. And basically that is a way for you to become a responsible. You see a bunch of pawpaws. You don't want to take every single pawpaw row for next year. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, your baby is so cute. Okay, rule number 3 is share what you learn in this class. Right now, I am not the end-all be-all of edible plants, because learning how to forage and harvest things off the land at percent certain that what you're harvesting and what you're eating is what you think if you would consume this thing in the picture. Raise your hand. See a lot of people that would eat it. Are you sure you would eat your child's life on it? If you give it to your kid, it's not going to hurt them. I mean, there's a percentage, and a pawpaw is a pawpaw, okay? Now, the plant is an edible orange. But the plants we're going to be talking about in this class, and a lot of plants do, it's really hard to tell, so there's all kinds of stuff that does have deadly lookalikes, but these ones are pretty straightforward, which is why I picked them for this class. So that's how sure you need to be pregnant, or you're trying to become pregnant, or you're breastfeeding. I would definitely say look you're eating. If you're taking any kind of medications, you might want to talk to your doctor or look up some of the research about that. So that's something how to use your books. So there's a couple different pages in the book, but I also put them on the slide too, so we can look at them. So each page in your book plant, which is, can you all see my mouse if I wiggle it around? Okay, perfect. There is the color of the plant. So that's a way to get the color is really helpful. So yellow plants are in this section. The name of the plant right here, along with the common name, or called something else in the western part of the state, maybe in the eastern part of the state, which might be where you can use it, the buds, the flower parts, where you can find it and when you can find it. So you can find cold in near lawns and roadsides. So that's where you can find it, when you can find it, and also the recipes in this book are not this whole book could fit dandelion recipes in it. But those are just some good ideas. All of us sharing edible plant recipes, but that's not part of this course tonight. But I love the idea of us sending each other edible plant recipes after this class. Okay, so is what you can use the plant for. So all this is in your book as well. So if you're looking for something that the stores in the U.S. have shut down and you have to have a cup of coffee, you can find stuff that will work as coffee about how to use your book or how to navigate around it. You can put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask. I carry it around with me to work and everything, and read it at lunch break, and people think, oh, this is much better. Now, the first plant that we're going to talk about in this book, so I'm really pumped to share it with you all, it's called plantain. And this is one of the most common plants. That younger leaves are best for plantain. You can chop them up and add them to salads or boil. Older leaves are kind of stringy and tough, but they have the same kind of medicine. Now, I will stand behind this last point 100%. About 1,000,000 times I've gotten bit by a mosquito leg where that mosquito bit you and it takes away the itch, and the mosquito bite doesn't, stay itchy and ridiculous for 2 weeks. So 3 or 4 facts for each of these plants. So please, please, please feel free to do your own. This is just, some of the main things that plantain's good for. You can see a picture of it here. Carrie asked, does it work for chiggers? I don't know, I've never used it on chiggers, but I do know that it has anti-itch properties. So one of y'all are going to get chiggers probably the next week. So try it out in your gravel driveway or growing next to sidewalks. I mean, they are everywhere. So now we're going to do our first little quiz. If you want to find plantains in your book, I'm going to show you a picture. What do you think plantains are? Is it A and B? Is it F and D? Whichever ones you think plantains are. I'm not going to tell you how many of them are correct. Okay, Jessica asked what page to write it in the chat box. I'll look for it. Page 46. Thank you. You guys are ready? Give me a thumbs up if you got your answers. Or you can write them in the chat box if you want. All right, so this question was actually a trick question. So how about that you got it right? All of these are plantain. Now, I will not give you another trick question, okay? I promise. But A is kind of a plantain you'd see everywhere. B, the others are broadleaf plantain, except for these that look like bananas. Those are also plantains, but a different kind of plantain. They're all plantains. You're not going to find D anywhere in the US probably, but you'll see all these other these little pokey uppy thingies. You'll see them everywhere. Now F, the narrow leaf plantain, those are, okay, if you haven't, like FaceTime me later and we'll talk about it. It's actually a plantain. It doesn't have as many things poking up though. Like I said, if you're not sure, you'll be able to tell like, yeah, that's definitely plantain. Okay, like I said, you will not have another trick question like this. The next plant we're going to talk about is yellow wood sorrel. Small, and they make an excellent kind of lemonade though. So you can sweeten it in vitamin C, and it's, whoa, how'd that red line get there? Okay, hey, Zoom is always does have a lot of oxalic acid in it. That's where the tartness comes from. So if you consume it in really, really large amounts, it can be toxic. I'm talking like it's going to take a lot of wood sorrel tea, but I want to make sure you all know that if you have any of these things, maybe steer clear of it. So the wood sorrels, they have those 3 leaves and then those little yellow flowers. So it is, I've got it marked here. I think it's on page 104. So we are going to look at our pictures here and try and pick out the wood sorrel. Can y'all see that red line or is it just me? I don't know where it came from or how to get rid of it. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm starting your clock now. 40 seconds to figure out what is a wood sorrel and what is not. Sally asked if it's called a pickle plant. I've never heard it called that. I've heard it called a sweet tart plant because they do kind of taste a little bit like sweet tarts, but never heard it called that. Okay, you guys have 5 more seconds. All right, so I'm gonna tell you the answers. What is a wood sorrel and what is not? A and C are buttercups and H is clover. So clumps usually. So G was kind of tricky because it didn't have those yellow flowers. But once again, if you're not sure, don't eat it. And it grows in bunches. They're a lot different from clover. So if we were able to take this picture and flip it and look at the roots, they all bunch together like almost like a bouquet. E and F are different pictures of the same plant. That is on the left, you'll see the flower, and on the right, you'll see the flower buds that are kind of closed up. So whenever you use yellow wood sorrel to make tea or jelly, you usually want to cut the roots off, not because they're bad for you, but because they're what give them the most flavor. You can find the flowers whenever they're closed up, like the picture F right here. That's whenever is really good for, like if you have canker sores, it will help your canker sores heal a lot faster if you drink wood sorrel tea. Do y'all have any questions about yellow wood sorrel? Or any comments? Okay, honey locust is another really exciting one. Now these honey locusts, they taste best right after they've fed. They're more for just kind of chewing on. I don't know a lot of people who make anything outside of this, but if you were, walking through the woods scouting deer and you see some on the ground, string right here on the end, like you're almost taking a green bean string off, and open it up and chew on the pulp on the inside. So these are eaten by a lot of different, and sometimes people will plant them around their food plots or into a lot of probably marks on these if you're picking them up off the ground. So that is what the honey locusts look like. Now, let's see if we can find it in our book. Do you feel like you need more time to identify the plants or, okay, yeah, we do need more time to identify the plants. All right, how about we'll do a minute and a half. Sound good? All right, so honey locusts are on page 184. Is that the leaves in the background? Somebody asked, is that the leaves in the background? No, that's just the background picture. But page 184 does have a picture of the leaves for the honey locusts. All right, so I'm going to give y'all a minute and a half to identify the honey locust, and we are going to start now. Jessica asked, are those the trees that have thorns on them? Yes, honey locusts do have thorns on them. If you don't have the book on you, the email that I sent earlier has the pictures attached of all the pages that are on the PowerPoint that we can use to identify different plants. All right, we've got another half a minute to go. All right, another couple seconds. All right. So the honey locusts are actually A, C, E, and H. Now that's kind of tricky because A is really small, right? But sometimes they are small. Now you would definitely have more context if you were looking for these out in the real world because they would have much bigger seed pods on them too. So that's another big part of looking and finding the right kind of edible plants is the context. Where is it at? Is it in the right environment? What's around it? What's it look like on the bottom? What's it smell like? That kind of stuff can be really helpful to identifying plants too. So doing this on a computer screen is much harder than written. And then D and F are Kentucky coffee trees. So once again, this is a lot harder doing it on a computer screen than in real life, but you can kind of see how the honey locust pods, they're real twirly, they're kind of flat, but Kentucky coffee tree pods are a lot shorter. And then the catalpas, they look like roast worms, like you don't want to eat that. Do y'all have any questions about honey locust? Okay, here's a little bonus thing, the cutest thing ever. When I was searching for pictures of honey locusts, I found this cute little wreath. So if either of y'all, if any of y'all are crafters, I'm looking at you, Bonnie Bloomfield, please feel free to make me this wreath. It looks like it's made out of turkey feathers, acorn tops, and honey locust pods. And if that is not the cutest, most redneck thing ever, I don't know what is. So this will be, oh yes.
Use the whole seeds out.
The seeds don't taste like anything, but they're not poisonous, but I don't want you on them because they just kind of take away from the good sweet flavor. Now remember, so even if you pick them off the tree, they'll taste a lot better. All right. And this will be saved, so if you guys want to go back and like find a picture of this wreath so that you can make one for you and make one for me, you can do that.
Megan, a side note. My daughter picked up a bunch of put it in a vase for me.
I am having some trouble hearing you. Sounds a little staticky.
Mine's scratchy when I'm listening to people.
Maybe you can type it in the chat.
I was just saying my daughter picked.
I'm sorry, Bonnie, I can't hear you, but I want to know what you're saying. Okay. If you can chat it to us, that would be great, though. All right. So that is the honey locust. Dandelions. This is the rock star of the plant world. Dandelions are good for a lot of stuff, including jelly. The dandelion jelly tastes a little bit like a honey flavor. It's pretty good, and it's really good on sunflower cookies too. And dandelion greens actually contain more protein than spinach. So if your kids don't want to eat spinach, you can send them out into the yard to pick some dandelion greens. They also are fennel and butter on anything and fry it, and it would be great. But dandelion morel mushrooms whenever you fry those. So there's a lot of dandelions that have been used in traditional medicine. Got scientific journal articles on dandelions and how they treat, stuff. You're not going to find a whole lot. But if you do have any of the allergies that are listed there at the bottom, ragweed, marigold, daisy, stay away from them because they're missing a lot of different edible parts too, which you see in your book. You can make a ton of things out of them. Oh, okay. Bonnie said Becky put a bunch in a jar for fall decoration. Super cute. All right. Awesome. So another like key part to recognizing dandelion is the leaves. So y'all take a good look at these leaves here. All the way on the left, different kinds of dandelion, and then the one on the right is like, who knows what the heck that is. That's a big part of our dandelion identification as well, because there are like a ridiculous amount of large puffy flowers that are yellow. All right, let's do our quiz. Would you all need more time to identify, or like a minute and a half good? Like I said, you're my guinea pig, so we're all figuring this out. Okay, minutes and a half is good. All right, so I'm gonna set the timer, and y'all tell me whenever you think you have all the dandelions. Oh, I figured out how to get the red thing off. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, we got about another 10 seconds to identify your dandelions. All right, ladies, let's see if you got them right. C, D, and E are all dandelions. And then A is a false dandelion, B and F are coltsfoot, and G is ragwort. So did anybody, I see a few out of y'all, because whenever I was learning dandelions, I totally thought those were dandelions. So what gave it away that A is not a dandelion? The leaf shape. Yep, that's exactly right, Amber. The leaf shape is off. Any other things that you all noticed? Was this one tough, extra tough for anybody, or do you think it was a little bit easier? Okay, Jessica cheated. No bonus points for you. I'm just kidding. You're supposed to look at the material before class. Okay, awesome. What are there any questions you all have about dandelions, or? Okay. Can you make the bottom bar go away? It blocks the letters. Ooh, let me see. I don't think so with the Prezi. Let me move my bag. Okay, there it goes, there it goes. Is that good? All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is cattails. These are also superstars of the edible plant world. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm getting a message that there's some issues with the way that the screen's showing up for some of our friends. I'm not sure what to do to fix it. I'm sorry. Okay. This presentation is also going to be on available for you all to go through after class, like up until the end of the year. So if you want to go over it together, like I will Zoom with you and we can do the whole thing all over again if you're having some trouble seeing it. But yeah, okay. So cattails, rock stars of the edible plant world. On page 158, there is a whole list you can use them for a ton of stuff. So actually, I wanted to show you all a video of a meal that people have made using just cattails. So we're going to see if the sound works.
Hi, Karen from ediblewildfood.com here. And this morning I am working with...
Can you guys hear that all right? Yeah, okay.
My cattails that I gathered last night to keep them fresh. I kept them in cold water overnight. And I really didn't gather many, probably only 10 at the most. And what these will be transformed into, this will be soup and rice. This part of the cattails will be pickles. I'm going to give it a shot at roasting these to see how they turn out. And I'm going to have to gather a fair bit more root, but I want to turn this into starch that I can use to thicken soups and other goods. So this is the root. And I like to just keep this as it looks kind of nice. And ultimately what I will probably do with those is break them down and dehydrate them. So, time to get busy in the kitchen. I'm back, and my preparation table has now been turned into my dining table. Although there's a significant amount of food here, I certainly can't eat all this in one sitting, not at lunchtime anyway. So let's take a look at the end result of all those cattails. Right here, a really magnificent tasting soup. Cattail rice, super tasty. And look at those leaves, roasted leaves. If you are on a gluten-free diet, this could be a great alternative to having crackers with your soup. And back there are the pickles I made. But these have to sit in the fridge for 2 or 3 days before I can enjoy them. But that's okay. I just wanted them out here to show you that from a few cattails, look at all this food. Although there's a lot more in the kitchen. But just wanted to show you some serving sizes. Cattails. How to harvest, how to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to put the link to that video. I just put it in the chat in case you want to look and see what kind of recipes she has for all those delicious looking things that we saw earlier in the video. And I know, I know that a couple of you asked what cattails taste like. What I have found cattails taste like, especially the, if you pull a cattail out of the ground above the roots, but at the very bottom of the stalk, you can kind of open that up a little bit, and it'll look like a little pickle, what she pickled. I've cooked those in butter, and they taste like butter. They're kind of like potatoes, so they will absorb whatever kind of spices or oil or butter that you cook them in. So just kind of think of that bit as potatoes. I've never tried the leaves that she saw, but I'll definitely am going to put that on my bucket list for the summer. Make sure that whenever you do harvest cattails, you get them from a cleanish water source. You don't want to be pulling cattails out of like the Ohio River and eating those, because then one of y'all are going to get superpowers or something from the toxic waste. But you can check out your book or the PDFs that I sent you to get a good idea of what different kind of recipes you can do. And like I said, this is not a full list of all of the recipes, but check out online, how to make jelly out of them, or what you can do, how to grind up the fluffy parts to make flour. I mean, there's just a world of stuff out there for cattails. We could probably do a whole class about how to cook with cattails. Red sumac is the next thing we're going to talk about. And this is another one of those things, once you realize what it looks like, you're going to see it everywhere, especially on the side of the road. Got a really distinctive red color, and it is on page, let's see, I don't have it marked in my book, but I'll find it for you real quick, or somebody can put it in chat if you see red sumac. Okay, it looks like it's on page 186. Yeah, this is staghorn sumac, yes, and I agree we should have some of these on the bow menu next year. Ooh, maybe we can do like an edible plants class the first night and then collect a lot of stuff so that we can eat it the next day. Sounds like fun. All right, so sumac is really high in vitamin C, which is great because, yeah, that is sumac. I see you showing a picture on your phone. I think it's sumac, kind of hard to see. You know what, you're gonna learn how to identify it, so you can answer your own question here in a minute. But it is really high in vitamin C, and it's really great for like if you have a cold, which is really interesting because it's at its peak during like whenever cold season starts to hit. So I think that's a really neat way that nature works. So sumac as a herb like or spice has really high antioxidant levels. So it's used a lot in actually I think it's Mediterranean cooking. You'll see it a lot in that kind of cooking. You can make your own sumac spice as well. It's not super hard. There are tons of videos and instructions on how to do that as well. So the best time to harvest sumac is like now. You'll know it's really like good quality sumac if it's super sour. So it's also because it has that oxalic acid that we talked about that wood sorrel has. So it is pretty sour. Now, every time it rains, it washes a little bit of the flavor off of the sumac. If it's got like a lot of hairs on it and a lot of like reddish kind of almost powder, you'll know it's like at the peak awesomeness of sumac. But if it's really dry and brittle, then it's probably not going to have a ton of flavor to it. So here we are, we're going to try and figure out what is what when it comes to sumac. So I'm going to give you guys about a minute to do this. And remember, sumac is on page 186 of your book. So the timer's starting now. You guys got about another 20 seconds. And Heather, I think you were trying to show me a picture that you had. If there's any way you could drop it in the chat box, then maybe I can see it a little better than on the screen. And then we can see if it's a sumac or not. All right. So, is it a sumac? The correct answer is C, D, and E. A is called coxcomb, and B is poison sumac. Well, some people call it doll's eyes. So A is something you'll probably see in a lot of gardens, but it's not sumac. But the other three are. So picture C, that's really good sumac. See how it's got all those little hairs on it and looks really like plump, and that's the good stuff. D probably is not super great for making things like jelly or tea. It probably wouldn't have a lot of flavor to it. And E is like, it's okay, it's okay. But if you can find sumac that looks like picture C, then you are in business. And like I said, you'll notice this a lot probably as you're driving. It's really tall, so it sticks out, kind of really pops out of the landscape. All right, I've saved my favorite edible plant for last. So this is the pawpaws. This is what really got me excited about edible plants. I actually got a couple the other day. I got them here. So they're kind of small. Pawpaws can be kind of small like this, or they can be really big. I mean, I have seen pawpaws that are like this big. So yeah, pawpaws are amazing. They make all kinds of cool stuff like jellies, smoothies. You can make ice cream out of them. You can put them in like tarts. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I've never done any of that because I just straight up eat them immediately. I've never made anything with pawpaws. I just eat them. But if you've never tasted them, it's kind of hard to describe, but it does taste like a little bit of a combination of banana, pineapple, and mango. And because they're often found for free, people call them the poor man banana. I've also heard them called Kentucky mangoes as well. let's see, they are nutritional powerhouses. They have all kinds of good stuff in them. You guys can read that if you want to, but basically it's a really good excuse to go wander in the woods for a few hours. You're like, oh, well, I'm shopping for a superfood. And by shopping, I mean also scouting for deer. So take some time. If you can find one pawpaw tree, odds are you'll probably find a lot of pawpaw trees, because critters also like to eat these, and they have seeds inside of them. And, you know, critters eat them, critters poop, more trees grow. So if you can find one pawpaw tree, you'll probably find a lot of other ones too. Once you find a stand of pawpaw trees and you smell how good it smells, you're going to find a lot more pawpaw trees, even just using your nose, because they do have such a wonderful, wonderful scent. So this is my absolute favorite edible plant of all time. Now there's a couple different ways to harvest these. You can pick them up off the ground. That's whenever they're going to be like really super sweet. You know how sometimes, you know, bananas, like the older they get, the sweeter they get. Pawpaws are kind of like that too. So if you pick them up off the ground, they have black spots on them like this, they're more ready. These pawpaws are not ready. They're kind of hard. You know, they're real green and stuff, but this one is kind of squishy. So a good pawpaw is going to feel like softer than a good banana, depending on how you like bananas. But like a good pawpaw is going to feel softer than a good banana. Okay, let's check out, what do y'all think are pawpaws? And these are going to be on page, let's see, 192. Page 192 is our pawpaws. So I'm going to go ahead and give you about a minute and a half to check it out. Elizabeth did make a good point. The leaves do smell like green peppers. They also have, I think they have a little bit of a smoky smell too, whenever you crush them up and smell them. But I've heard people say they think I'm crazy for that too. So. Okay. We're gonna do about 10 more seconds. Okay, so the correct answer for this is C, D, E, F, G, and H. A is a magnolia tree and B is a papaya. So A has those really shiny leaves and they seem kind of stiff, whereas pawpaw leaves they're a little more droopy. They look like they need to be watered. So you can see in D, you can see in the picture labeled D really well, they're a little bit droopier. And then B is a papaya. You're not going to find these in the States. You can see the seeds in G, like picture G. You can see the seeds. They are bigger. Can you eat the seeds? Yes, I've accidentally eaten them a bunch of times before, but they're not like something you're going to go for on purpose. So that is what pawpaws look like. Whenever you're harvesting pawpaws, you can pick them off the ground or you can shake the tree. If you shake the tree really, really hard, you're probably going to get a lot of pawpaws that aren't ripe yet. So if you're going to give the tree a little shake, just give it like just a little shake, just enough to knock them off. Picture C, where the pawpaws look almost black, that is when they're kind of at their best for eating. You can eat the skin. I eat the skin every time. Some people like to peel it off, but I just eat the whole thing. All right, what kind of questions do y'all have about, oh, sorry, Jessica asked, how do we know when it's ripe? Whenever it has those dark spots like that, and this pawpaw, I'm even gonna let it get riper because the other side doesn't have a lot of dark spots. But I'll set them in the window if they're not as ripe as I'd like them to be. And whenever they're, I'm trying to think, because like, okay, an avocado, whenever you squeeze an avocado and it's like pretty soft, that is what you want your pawpaws to be. Almost like the inside of your palm. How do you avoid seeds if I eat the peel? I just spit the seeds out. I've actually got some pawpaw seeds. Let me go grab them for you guys. I keep them by my bed, so they're really close. I'll show you what the seeds look like. Okay, so these are pawpaw seeds. They are good size. So you're probably not going to miss them. They're not like kiwi seeds, and they're not like apple seeds. Tabitha asked if you harvest green ones by accident, can you force ripe them in a brown paper bag like tomatoes? Yes, you can. Fruits give off like these gases that will help them ripen. They'll ripen faster if you put them in a brown paper bag and then put them somewhere cool and dry, maybe like the top of your refrigerator. You don't want to put them anywhere too warm or too cool, because that will make it ripen way too fast or make them ripen too slow. What do I use the seeds for? Well, these were by my bed because I stuck them in my pocket and forgot about them. But I like to try and plant them all around my yard. Pawpaws grow where it's pretty moist, but they also have really weird growing requirements. Like when they're the little baby trees, like they can't get direct sunlight or they'll die. But whenever they're bigger trees, they can get direct sunlight. So you're like, well, dang, where do I plant them at? Because I can't move them. So I just randomly plant them everywhere in my yard and hope that someday they'll start growing. So far, 2 have started growing, and I planted them 3 years ago. Now, pawpaw seeds need time to stratify, and I'm not gonna get too dorky about stratification in this particular Zoom chat, but basically they just need to like be really cold for a while, like they would be in nature. So I just throw them out throw them in a hole in my yard and like hope they grow. And that's what I use the seeds for. You guys have any other questions about pawpaws? Oh, do only plants from seeds produce fruit as opposed to those that come from roots? I don't know the science behind that, but I do know that if you want pawpaws to produce fruit, they do have to have other pawpaw trees close by. You can have a whole stand of pawpaws that aren't producing any fruit, and that can be for a couple reasons. Reason number one is if it could all be like a clone of the same plant, because pawpaws send roots out and then up, they grow up into trees. So like the same 10 pawpaw trees you're looking at could actually be the same plant, and they don't have anything to cross-pollinate with. Also, pawpaws are pollinated by flies, not like bees or wasps or anything. So if there's for some reason a shortage of flies, you're not going to get a lot of fruit from pawpaws. What you can do though for that, if you're growing your own pawpaw trees at home, is an old farmer's trick, and that is to get something dead and tie it underneath your pawpaw tree in the springtime. And then a bunch of flies will come and pollinate your pawpaw. So just hang something dead on your pawpaw tree. Tabitha asked, are there any toxicities with the plant's roots, leaves, and seeds? I don't know. I don't know if they're bad for dogs or not. My dogs have eaten pawpaws and the seeds as well, but I don't know about the leaves or the roots, but my dogs are like pawpaw eating machines. So, Jennifer says that they didn't have any this year. Jennifer, try tying something dead to your tree if you can. And, or maybe like planting another pawpaw a little bit further away so that it's not a clone of your same tree. Bonnie said she has some growing. How do you overwinter the young trees? I've never overwintered pawpaws myself, but from what I can tell you about their best growing conditions is don't put them in direct sunlight, and don't water them, as much as you would water some of your other plants. Their leaves look naturally droopy, so it's really easy to overwater them. But Bonnie, I hope your pawpaws work out, because that would be awesome. Buying pawpaw trees is expensive, so if y'all can figure out a way to commercialize that, you will be a millionaire. The reason that pawpaws aren't sold in stores is because they don't ship very well at all. I've done a lot of research, like why don't we eat pawpaws, or why don't we get pawpaws from stores? And that's why they do not pack well like bananas and apples. Any other questions? Okay, so that's pawpaw. That's my favorite. Now, for the best part of this class, I'm gonna have you guys go outside and do some foraging of your own. So you can take your book. We're gonna be doing this for like 15 minutes, okay? So I'm gonna set a stopwatch for 15 minutes. As you're coming and going, like maybe it takes you 20 seconds to find something cool when you bring it back. Maybe it takes you 15 minutes, but you can go out and find as much as you want or as little as you want. If you can't get outside to look for edible plants. I do have some on the screen here that you can use your book to check out. But if you can go outside, even if it's just like a really small space or parking lot, you'll probably be able to find something that we talked about in class, if not something else from your book. So I'm going to give you all a minute. I'm going to stay here. So if you need to confirm something over the screen with me, you can. But we'll go ahead and set the timer for 15 minutes now. So meet me back here and at like, maybe back here at like 7:15. It's 6:58 now. So we'll be back at 7:15. And if you can't get away to Forage, please feel free to use these pictures here on the left.
Hey, I found some stuff.
Yep.
I'm okay. Can you see? Oh wait.
Looks
I
like
think, yeah, plantain, and then the dandelion. Oh wait, sorry. I'm trying to
you're fine. I can see it. Looks good.
that.
You got
And
two,
then I
didn't you? All right. Yeah, get it, girl. Get it.
we have a bunch in our yard, so I took a picture earlier, but I just figured I'd take it.
Yes. Yes, that is sumac. How's it? Is it really sour?
I haven't tasted it yet. There's little cobwebs on it. How do you wash that off without washing the like fuzzy stuff you're talking?
Very gently. And you do want to wash it so that you don't
Sour.
get bugs. I don't know. It's a personal choice, but yeah, very gently. It's sour?
Yeah.
Good. That means it has a lot of flavor. So it's going to be perfect for you to use for like teas or jelly or whatever you want to make with it.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Good job. I love that you found two different kinds, or the two different like styles of dandelion leaves. That's cool.
I found this one. I wasn't sure if this was plantain or not. This one.
Yeah, that looks like narrow leaf plantain to me. Did it have the little thing sticking up out of it?
This one did not. There was no like thing anywhere near it, but there was a bunch of that.
That can happen with plantains, but use your context clues. Smell it and use your nose too. Don't eat it if you're not sure. But to me, that looks like narrow leaf plantain.
Cool. Is anyone else back from Forage?
I haven't seen anybody else's stuff. Anybody else want to share?
Can you hear me?
Yes, got it.
Okay, can you see me?
I can see you.
So I picked this pawpaw leaf off my tree.
Oh, I'm so
And I never noticed it does smell like peppers.
Does it
I never noticed that before.
Like if you crush it and smell it, does it smell smoky to you? I think my nose is broken.
And then I'm hoping this is something, I don't know. Is it just a weed?
Can you hold it up a little higher?
I pulled the roots and all. I don't really.
Look in your book for dock, DOCK, and see if that matches the description.
Okay, and one more thing that I was I've got these little flowers. They got purple heads on them. What is this?
Did you already check your book and see?
No, I just ran back in the house real fast.
Okay, check your book under the color purple and see if you can find anything for it.
Okay.
So I found jewelweed.
Awesome.
And
very cool. Now, jewelweed is also good for poison ivy. So if you get poison ivy on you and you're pretty allergic, you can like chew up jewelweed and smack it on there. And interestingly enough, dandelion and jewelweed poison ivy and jewelweed usually grow close together. So.
Okay.
I found some things. Yellow wood sorrel.
Awesome.
And common blue violet.
That's so cool.
Sorry, that's my dogs. Plantain. And then redbud, but instead of the young seed pods. Sorry.
All right. Now, for those of you that did find plantain, did you happen to notice a difference between the bigger, older leaves and the young, more tender leaves? Can you feel the difference? One of them feels stringy and the other one feels kind of soft. Yeah, awesome. Becky looks good. Perfect specimen of a plantain. Amber said she has a strawberry plant in her garden. Are the leaves edible? I don't know. Like I said, y'all, I'm actually not an edible plants expert. I just know some stuff. I don't know that thing though. Does anybody else want to share what they found?
I will, Megan.
Okay, guys, what did you find?
Okay, so I was showing my plantain, and the only reason I knew I knew what it was is because you said the so I pulled the whole dude up, and yes, the younger leaves are less stringy than the older ones. Also, he looks a little rough because they just cut our grass around our apartment. I also think, and you'll just have to tell me if I'm right, Megan, I think this is a little yellow wood sorrel.
It is. See the
So-
like one? That's the dead giveaway.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know. We actually have a lot of these around our apartment, and I didn't know that's what it was or that it was edible. And then I found this little strawberry plant. And I was looking in the book, and I think they're all edible. I just don't know which one it is. But I found that too.
Very cool.
I was also going to share, Mom was talking about our pawpaw trees. We actually got those seeds to germinate by putting them in a damp paper towel and then in a Ziploc bag that we didn't close all the way and in the bottom of the refrigerator, and we left them there all winter. And then in the spring, she put them in dirt and they sprouted. So if somebody wants to try that, it worked for us. We got like 7 trees to start. So
And
we were
like
pretty excited.
saplings sell for like $40, so you can make good money doing that too. Cool.
Here, what I
What did you find, Elizabeth? Oh,
it's obvious. I mean, I think isn't it too far in the season to eat this? Like, don't you want to eat it in the spring and summer when?
yeah. Poke is something that I stay away from because it is poison. Tabitha got some too. What you have right now is poisonous. Once you see purple, it's poisonous. Once you see red, it's poisonous. So poke is like real sketchy. Many old country people go crazy over it, but you have to find it whenever it's the right time, whenever it's really early. So I would say do a lot of independent research before you eat poke, because some people will say you got to parboil it and dump out the water 7 times, or do a dance and point your nose northwest while you say a rosary. There's like a lot of different stuff you have to do to get it to not be poisonous. So I don't personally mess with it, but poke does grow in the same spot every year. So if you want to try and catch it whenever it's nice and young and at peak edibility, mark where it's at in your yard, then check it out next year.
And I also found dandelion leaves. The dandelion leaves.
All right, looks like we got enough for a supper there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Anybody else want to share?
I didn't want to take it, but I do have passion flowers in the backyard, and I haven't tried it yet. Just make a tea from the flower, and I also had some of the fruits in it because they're not ready to try the one.
Those are beautiful. That's awesome. Now, I've never tried passion flower. I'm nervous too because everybody I've talked to said that makes them super sleepy. It's like taking a sleep aid. And I have a toddler and I don't have time to be sleepy. So let me know how that goes for you. But I've always been really wanting to try it. All right. Tabitha found goldenrod. Let's see. Yeah, it's gold. Yeah, that looks like, yeah, that's goldenrod. There's a lot of goldenrod blooming. And there's like 60 different varieties of goldenrod. So some, goldenrod grow right next to each other, might not look exactly alike, but once you get an eyeball for it, you'll know. And a lot of people think that they're allergic to goldenrod, but goldenrod grows near ragweed, which a lot of people actually are allergic to. And goldenrod pollen is so heavy. It's so flippin' heavy. Like it doesn't actually blow around like crazy like ragweed pollen does. So if you think you're allergic to goldenrod, you're probably allergic to ragweed. And goldenrod is great for bees too. I mean, I don't want to make this a bee class, but I could. But goldenrod is great for bees. So you're going to see a lot of bees on goldenrod right now because that is one of their 2 main food sources this time of year. Anybody else want to share what they found?
I found some. Go ahead. I found the honey locust. We have a couple trees. dandelion and plantain. But I mowed yesterday, so I got rid of my.
That's why I don't mow very often. I mean, y'all gonna come over to my house. It looks like the Adams family live there. My grass is like up to my waist.
See, I found a planted, although it was in my driveway and I've driven over it a few times.
It looks like a nice young tender one.
Okay, so it's the wrong time of year for redbud, but I've got them all over the place.
Awesome.
And a dandelion.
Jelly.
And I had a rose hip, although it's not very ripe looking.
So, anybody else want to share what they found?
I don't know what I found. I found a dandelion leaf.
What do y'all think? Dandelion? I think so too.
They mow all the time at my apartment complex, so there's no like leaves budding. Is this what you were saying was like the clovers, but not a clover?
Yep, yellow wood sorrel. Yep, looks like it. See how it kind of all grows together at the bottom like a bouquet? That's how you do it, clover. But yep, those little yellow pods, and smell it, or you know, just taste a little bit of the yellow seed or the yellow flowers, and if it's got a real tart taste, then you'll know that it's yellow wood sorrel. Tabitha asked about, do rosehip seeds cause itchy butt if you ingest and pass them? It's never happened to me, but anything's possible. Anybody else want to share anything they found? Was anybody not able to find anything? All right. Did anybody have to look in like a really small area? Did anybody think they weren't going to find anything? Yeah. It's amazing what you can find in even a small space. Like, Amber said she thought she wasn't going to find anything. I was out at my work the other day picking up some stuff from the office, and as I was walking through the parking lot, I counted 6 different edible plants, and those are just the ones that I know. And y'all know I'm not an edible plant expert, but I just know some stuff, and I found 6 edible plants just in my work parking lot. So you can find them a lot of places. Martha, did you find any? Jessica asked. Yeah, what'd you find? Okay, yellow wood sorrel, plantain. Y'all are noticed too that yellow wood sorrel usually grows in lots of different, like there's lots all together. So it's great if you pick it and then cut off the roots and then make it into kind of a lemonade style drink. You want to cut off the roots so it doesn't taste like dirt. Is blue violet edible? I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Martha says the book says it is. I've seen people decorate like cakes and stuff with violets too, so. Are they really just weeds? I would say no. I think that every plant has a purpose, and some are really nefarious purposes, like poison ivy. That's from the devil. But things that we would usually consider weeds, like plantains and dandelions and wood sorrel, things that people pull up out of their garden, those are some really valuable stuff right there. How many times, have y'all ever considered that you could eat every part of a cattail? Because before I watched that video, I didn't know. I didn't know that you could make a full meal out of 10 cattails. So. Yes. Oh, Sally says honeybees love poison ivy. That's awesome. I have some, Jessica mentioned that Heather is a jelly making machine. What kind of jelly have you made, Heather? Jellies that I've made dandelion jelly, redbud jelly. Let's see, I made some red sumac jelly that was really super delicious. So, haven't made violet jelly yet. I'll have to try that. Okay, I don't know if you all checked out these pictures on the slideshow of what was what, but if you did try and guess any of it, here's the answers. A is sweet flag, B is persimmon, C is wild ginger, D is mulberry, E is sassafras, and F is goldenrod. So some of my favorites on here are persimmons. Has anybody ever tried them? Tried persimmons? Yeah, awesome. If you haven't, try and make that a goal this year. Deer love persimmons, so if you hunt, that's an extra, place to scout for hunting spots too. Funny thing about persimmons though, if you get them whenever they're not ripe, they are terrible and they will make your mouth feel like you ate a cotton ball for like 5 minutes. It's terrible. So whenever you do eat persimmons, you want them to be super mushy, almost to the point where you're like, is this rotten? So make sure you eat them when they're really mushy. C is wild ginger, which kind of looks a little bit like violet, but you'll know it's wild ginger whenever you pull it up and smell it. It smells just like ginger. And you can make candied ginger. Old timers really love it. So if you make candied ginger and give it to your great grandma, you're going to be her favorite great grandchild. Mulberries are really fun too. Birds love mulberries. So if you can get to them before the birds do, jams, jellies, pies, wine, all kinds of good stuff. And sassafras has those really distinctive 3-fingered leaves. Some sassafras trees have like, some extra fingers on some of their leaves, but for the most part, it'll be 3-fingered leaves. If you take a stick of that and smell it, it smells like sassafras. You can chew on it while you're walking through the woods or impress your friends with your knowledge about sassafras. And then goldenrod, which we talked about, to bloom in right now. You can do all kinds of good stuff with that. Teas, jellies. Bonnie asked, is it normal for mulberry trees that don't bloom fruit every year? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they're pollinated. So maybe it could be like we talked about with the pawpaws. If they're pollinated by flies, maybe you need to hang something dead underneath it. I don't know, but we can do some Googling and try and find out. Okay, any questions about any of these plants or questions about plants that you found this evening? Before we start talking more about, any other questions or follow-up questions or how we can stay in contact with each other, I would love to take a group picture. So if you want to turn your camera on, or if you have your stuff that you found, I am gonna take a little group picture here on our Zoom. Let me get my screenshot tool here. So if you don't want to be in the picture, turn your camera off. But if you do want to be in the picture, if you could hold up your awesome edible plants, and I will tell you when you can start cheesing. I'm sorry, my computer is so slow right now. Okay. We are going to start cheesing in 3, 2, 1. Okay, say cheese and hold it. Okay, here we go. Okay, got it. Yes, you guys are the cutest. This is the cutest class. We're the cutest. You guys are the cutest. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to take one more because it looks like somebody was mid-blink. Hang on. I'm going to save it. Take one more. I'm sorry, I cannot express to you how slowly my computer is running right now. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Let me make sure everybody's eyes are open. Are you kidding me? My eyes aren't open. Okay. One more time. Get your plants, ladies. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Make sure my eyes are open. Okay, my eyes are open, but I look weird. but we're not doing it again. Okay, cool. Good job, everybody. Now, if you want to stay in contact with me, I'm going to put my cell number in our little chat box, and you can text me pictures of your plants or your dogs or your kids, and that way we can kind of stay in touch. If you want to join a edible plants group on Facebook, there's a lot of foraging groups out there that you can get into. I really like Foraging for Edible Plants. That's the name of the group. But join some Facebook groups. That way you can learn more about identifying edible plants and foraging. You can ask all kinds of questions in there, and there are people that are much, much smarter than me and much, much better at this. So hopefully you guys learned something new. Make sure you copy my number down in there. Feel free to shoot me a text anytime. If you have any recipes that you would like to share that you find, send them to me on email. I can send them out to the rest of the class. Probably after this is all over with, I'm going to collect a few recipes from plants that we've gone over and then send them out to y'all. That way you can try something new. But a lot of the plants that we talked about, now is a great time of the year to get out and go looking for them, especially persimmons, especially pawpaws. And those are two of the like big names in the foraging world. Jessica wants a sumac jelly recipe. I got you. I just made like 20 jars of it. So I will make sure to send that one out. So I'm going to stay on here. If y'all are dismissed, if all hearts are at ease, if you'd like to stay on here and talk about plants or ask questions, then feel free. I'm here all night.
I wanted to let everybody know this isn't necessarily something for edible wild plants, but if you're looking for an app to identify plants and even bugs and spiders and moss and mushrooms and all kinds of stuff, I love the app iNaturalist. And I know Becky is on there. I've seen her name pop up before. But it is awesome at identifying. Now, it won't tell you if something's edible, but it's pretty good at identifying plants.
Awesome, thank you. That's a really good tool. Were there any plants that you all thought were extra hard to identify or extra easy to identify?
I think dandelion's like the easiest thing because they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Jessica thought they were difficult because they look like other plants. Yeah, I mean, once you look in coltsfoot and false dandelion, and you know, it can be kind of tricky. But now you know, check the leaves. Like I said, you guys are, if you're ready to head out, you can. Okay, Heather wants us to send you a message on Facebook for a link to the jelly video. The cattail video? Sorry, I don't. Well, it was nice to meet you guys. So have a good night. I'll be on here as long as you all want to talk.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this class. I know it was hard with it being virtual, but you did a good job. I think whenever we are able to use our book and go out and actually see what we're looking at, or at least for me personally, I've got lots of weeds in my hayfield and I don't know what's what. So it'll be fun to actually figure out what I can eat and what I can't, because some I have lots of, and it'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, keep me updated on how it goes for you. You know, if you make anything cool or discover a new plant, it's so exciting. Like whenever you're walking through the woods and you're like, okay, this looks edible, and you search in your book and you find it, and it's a great feeling.
My field has a lot of these really tall purple looking things and some tall yellow topped ones, and I need to look up to see what those are, because
mullein, M-U-L-L-I-E-N. That's a really very distinctive looking, and it grows in fields. So that's a new one that I've learned. But yeah,
okay. Well, thanks again.
Thank you, Jennifer. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Megan.
No problem. Like I said, I'll stay on here as long as you guys want to talk. But if you're ready to leave, get out of here.